MES College, Maramballi, e-learning.
Hi everybody, myself is Dr. Umesh BT, Head Department of Biosciences, MES College, Maramballi. Today I am going to deal with a topic, transgenic animals. Actually this topic is included in the syllabus of third semester MSc Biotechnology, but this can be considered as a main or general topic also. Okay, transgenic animals. In this topic we are going to deal with the introduction, what are transgenic animals and how they are produced, applications of transgenic technology and the ethical concerns over the transgenesis mechanism. Okay, first of all let us deal with what is a transgenic animal. As a definition we can say that a transgenic animal is one whose genome has been changed to carry genes from other species. So, an animal in which the genes from other species has been introduced in transgenic animal or an animal to make it into a transgenic animal. So, the nucleus of the animal contains genes and these genes are made up of DNA and these genes stores information that regulates how our bodies form and function. So, the genes perform the function of protein synthesis and that proteins determines what should be the shape and structure of our body and what are the functions, what should be the functions performed by the body. Now, as an introduction we can say that man has always been trying to improve several traits in domesticated animals. So, the improvement of domesticated animals in their traits was a serious concern over time. And the improvements like the milk yield, wool characteristics in animals and egg laying frequencies of animals etc. have been a great concern over time in the previous years. But there were successful results. The process included selective breeding and the selection of superior varieties through several generations have been successfully carried out by different scientists all over the world throughout these generations. And it was quite successful, but the time consuming. But the problem with this type of experiments were it was time consuming and was very expensive and cumbersome. After the development of genetic engineering technologies, it has been made possible to introduce specific genes into animals and to create genetically altered or transgenic animals with improved or new characteristics. And the strategy adopted for this genetic modification of genetic nature or genetic architecture in an organism was a cloned gene is injected into the nucleus of a fertilized egg. First of all, a gene has to be cloned into the egg and that cloned gene is introduced into the nucleus of a fertilized egg was the first strategy. And then the fertilized egg, after injection of the gene, the cloned gene is injected and the fertilized egg after injection of the gene is implanted into the uterus of a receptive female. That was the strategy. Now, in the receptive female, in the uterus of the receptive female, the progeny derived from the egg carry the cloned genes in all their cells. That was the strategy adopted for making the genetic modification of animals possible. So, animals with the cloned gene is integrated into their germline cells and are bred to establish new genetic lines or genetic traits. That was the strategy adopted. Now, we have produced a large number of animals which are transgenic through the method of recombinant DNA technology, and let us go into the history of transgenesis. The first transgenic animals were mice, which was created by Rudolf Janisch in 1974. That was the first report on the transgenic animals. That is the transgenic mice which was created by Rudolf Janisch in 1974. And he successfully managed to insert the foreign DNA into the early stage mouse embryos, the resulting mice carried the modified gene all their tissues, but the problem was it was not expressed in the host. So he was not able to express that particular gene in the host. That was the first transgenic, and that is considered as the first transgenic animal produced. And after that, in 1982, world's first expressing transgenic animal have been created, and that was named as super mouse. So super mouse was having a gene inserted with a human gene which controls the human growth hormone gene. Okay, that gene was introduced into a mouse, and that is called as super mouse. That was the first successful expressing transgenic animal. That was in 1982. And commonly used animals for the transgenesis experiments are the mice, which is very common, sheep and goats, some results have been obtained, then chickens, fish, pigs, rabbits, cows and primates. To some extent monkeys also gave some results. So these were the animals used: mice, sheep and goats, chickens, fish, pigs, rabbits, cows and primates. We will discuss one by one. First of all, we will discuss about the transgenic mouse. So this mouse is extensively used. As you all know, the mouse is one of the major organisms which was extensively used for almost all type of experiments, and this is also used for the development of transgenic technology. They are mainly used for the gene regulation, studying the gene regulation, the tumor development, immunological characteristics, molecular genetics, etc. So these transgenic mice are made to study the gene regulation activities, tumor developments, immunological characteristics and molecular genetics, etc. And also they were used for studying the feasibility of the therapeutic drugs produced in industry. So feasibility of therapeutic drugs also have been studied by using these transgenic mice. Now what is the use? Why we need these transgenic animals? Well, actually naturally a question will arise, why we need these transgenic animals? And the answer is this: to study the function of promoter genes, reporter gene expression and the functions of transferred genes. So these transgenic genes are mainly used to study the expression of genes, then the functions of transferred genes. We can transfer the gene and we can study the functions of transferred genes by using transgenic animals. And also these transgenic animals are used to produce new proteins from cultured cell lines by the insertion and expression of genes coding for specific proteins. So that also can be studied. New proteins can be produced from cultured cells, and insertion and expression of genes coding for specific proteins also can be studied. How it is inserted, how the inserted genes are expressed, and all these things are studied by using transgenic animals. And also these transgenic animals are used to create animals with higher yield of milk or meat, higher yield of milk or meat. For example, to obtain better quality milk, we can use transgenic animals to obtain better quality milk. Like that, we can get better quality meat, better quality wool, etc. by making the animals into a transgenic, or by introducing a foreign gene into the animal genome. We can have this better quality milk, better quality meat, better quality wool, etc. And also these transgenic animals are used to produce the animals with the capacity to synthesize new proteins. So new proteins, novel proteins will be produced from the transgenic animals. That novel proteins will be from other organisms like the plants, bacteria or any other microbes. So the novel proteins also can be produced by using transgenic technology in animals. And also this can be used to use animals as models for studies in gene therapy. So animals can be used as models for studies in gene therapy, and for that purpose we can go for the transgenic animals. And also for gene farming. Gene farming is actually a method, a recombinant DNA technology method in which the genetically modified animals are used mostly to make human proteins that have medicinal value. So for this purpose also we can modify the genome of an organism, especially the animals. So in animals, if you transfer a gene from any other organism into animals, these animals will express this particular protein, and this protein sometimes will have the medicinal value, and these proteins can be produced in large scale, and this method of producing the proteins with medicinal value in large scale is called as gene farming. Actually, this is a recombinant DNA technology that scientists use to alter an animal's own DNA or to splice in new DNA called a transgene from another species, that is gene farming. Now, what is the method of production of transgene? Actually, 3 different steps are carried out for the production of a transgenic animal. First of all, we have to have the construction of a transgene by using recombinant DNA technology. Construction of a transgene by using recombinant DNA technology, and the required things for the recombinant DNA technology are the genes to be expressed, that is the desirable gene which has that particular desirable properties. So, that genes to be expressed is needed. Then we need a vector DNA and promoter and termination sequence. So, a vector DNA is needed, gene to be expressed is needed, a promoter and a termination sequence is needed. In this diagram, you can see the vector DNA. This is the representation of that particular gene of interest with its additional sequences. There will be the vector DNA, there will be the promoter sequence, then the gene will be there and termination sequence, and finally the DNA. Okay. So, this will be the gene construct of that particular animal transgenesis. Then the second step is introduction of the transgene into the animal. That is carried out by 3 different methods. They are the retroviral vector method, DNA micro-injection method, that is also called as pronuclease method, then embryonic stem cell mediated site-directed mutagenesis. So, by these 3 different steps, we can have the insertion of transgene into the animal, introduction of transgene into the animal. We will discuss one by one in detail. First of all, retroviral vector method. Retroviruses can be used. Retroviruses are nothing but they are RNA containing viruses which has the ability to grow in the animals including human beings. Okay. Now, the retroviruses are selected which are having the qualities which can be make them into a vector will be selected, and these can be used as vectors for integrating the transgene into the genome of a recipient cell. So, this can be used as a vector for integrating the transgene into the genome of a recipient cell. And some limitations are there, many limitations are there. They are transfers only a small parts or small piece of DNA can only be transferred. That is the most important limitation of this vector mediated gene transfer. And another thing is that since the vector itself is pathogenic, sometimes the vector itself may cause some diseases or cause some contaminations, that will be problem. So, that risk is to be considered. So, risk of retroviral contamination is the next problem associated with the retroviral vector mediated gene transfer, and this risk is considered as the biggest drawback of this retroviral vector mediated gene transfer, and not in regular use. Because of these limitations, this particular retroviral vector method is not in regular use nowadays. And this is an outline of the technology. Here you can see the mouse, and from this mice we have taken that 8-cell embryo is taken out. 8-cell embryo is treated with this particular recombinant gene, and the recombinant gene is ensured that it get entered into the genome of this particular mice, and then it is transplanted into the mother, and then it is started its growth and produced the offsprings. Now, these offsprings will have this particular altered gene in it. Okay. And we have produced a transgenic mice using this technology, and this technology for producing transgenic animals have been perfected in the laboratory mouse, and a foreign DNA has been introduced into mice by some of the method. Okay. Now, the method is using retroviral vectors that infect the cells of an early stage embryo prior to the implantation into a receptive female. So, retroviral vectors that infect the cells of an early stage embryo. We have used retroviral vectors which infect the cells at an early stage embryo that we have already explained in the diagram. Early stage embryo, we have infected that with a retroviral vector. It is then implanted into a receptive female. That was the second stage. Okay, before implanting, we have done a process called micro injection, and that micro injection into the enlarged sperm nucleus, we have introduced the foreign gene by using this micro injection method into the sperm nucleus, then introduction of that genetically engineered embryonic stem cells into the early stage developing embryo of the female. That was the third step, introduction of genetically engineered embryonic stem cells into the early stage developing embryo of female. Okay, that was the step. Now the second step was the DNA micro injection method. So here by using a micro injection or micro syringe, we are injecting the desired gene into the cells. This is currently the preferred method for producing the transgenic mice. DNA micro injection method is currently the preferred method for producing the transgenic mice. And this process involves many steps. We can have an idea about what are the different steps involved in the DNA micro injection method. So first of all, to inoculate the fertilized eggs, we have enough eggs in the donor females. Therefore, the donor females are stimulated to super ovulate. So they will be stimulated by injecting or administering some hormones like follicle stimulating hormones into the females, and this is injection of these or treatment of these animals with this particular type of hormones will make the animals super females, or they will super ovulate. A number of ovum will be produced in the females. So the normal mouse usually produces 5 to 10 eggs, but the super ovulated, that is the treated mouse will produce almost 35 to 40 eggs at a particular time. So that the normal mouse usually produces 5 to 10 eggs usually, but the super ovulated mouse produces 35 to 40 eggs. Now the super ovulated females are mated. So these super ovulated females will be taken, selected, and they are mated, and the fertilized eggs are taken from their oviducts. So fertilization is carried out. The fertilized eggs, that is the male and female fertilization, that fusion has been taken place, and that fertilized eggs are taken from their oviducts, that it will be artificially or it will be forcefully taken out. Now immediately after their collection, the fertilized eggs are micro injected with the transgene construct. That is what we do. So the fertilized egg is taken from the oviducts forcefully, and after their collection, after these fertilized eggs have been taken out, the fertilized eggs are micro injected with the transgene construct. So let us have an idea, outline of the technique. So this is the outline, most reliable, and this is commonly used technique. Since 25 years this technique has been in use. So steps are, this is the mice, and this mice is treated or it is administered with FSH, follicle stimulating hormone, and HCG hormone. Then naturally that mice will super ovulate, it will go for super ovulation. Super ovulated mice are mated with males and then they are sacrificed. So 12 hours after fertilization it will be taken, and fertilized oocytes are fused. They are taken out from the oviduct. This will be the fusion. So this will be fertilized or the eggs will be fused with the sperms and they will become the fertilized egg. Now take out the fertilized egg to make or transfer that gene of interest into the fertilized egg, and that gene, that fertilized egg will now contain that particular gene of interest. Now the fertilized egg is taken out, and that fertilized egg will be transferred into another female which is considered as pseudo pregnant female, and this pseudo pregnant female is generally made by mating with a vasectomized male mouse to prepare the female for pregnancy. Vasectomized male mouse is used to make the female prepare for pregnancy. Now the pregnant female will be transferred this particular fertilized egg which is now contains the foreign DNA. Now it is introduced into the uterus and we will get the products as transgenic pups. Okay, 3 weeks after implantation we will get the transgenic pups. Now this is an outline of the production of these transgenic pups. You can see here, this is normal mice. Its egg has been taken, fertilization has been done, and fertilized into the fertilized egg we are injecting micro injecting that particular gene, desirable gene of interest. Then it is transplanted into the mother. This will give rise to the babies, and babies will mate with the normal one, and the babies produced after the first generation will be containing normal as well as transformed organisms. This is the outline of the micro injection method. Okay. Now the third is embryonic stem cell mediated site directed mutagenesis. So embryonic stem cells, as you know, embryonic stem cells are cells which have the ability to differentiate into all other types of cells. Embryonic stem cells are the cells which have the ability to differentiate into all other cell types, and because of the ability to differentiate into any other type of cells, these cells are considered as pluripotent. So this pluripotency is shown by these embryonic stem cells. We are concentrating on the embryonic stem cells, and the inner mass of this blastocyst, that is the embryonic stems, can be genetically engineered without altering their pluripotency. So this inner cells will be taken out, and into this inner mass of the blastocyst we are inserting our gene of interest without altering their pluripotency. Then these type of cells with the altered genotype will be selected, and they are cultured in the medium to produce the particular type of cells. Okay, this is an outline of what is happening. This is the embryonic stem cell, and this is the gene of interest, gene construct. We can say that it is gene construct, the gene of interest, and through electroporation, inside the cells will be taken from inside the growing embryonic stem cell, and these stem cells will have the capacity to regenerate. So into this stem cell the gene of interest is inserted. So that insertion is taken place and is with a mechanism called the homologous recombination. The insert is introduced, then it is cultured. The stem cells are cultured in the proper sufficient medium, and now inside this you can see one cell with another color. This is representing the cell with an altered gene that is amplified or multiplied in the medium, and again it is inserted into the embryonic stem cell back. Okay, blastocyst, into the blastocyst back. So this is an outline of the technology. Now the selection of transgene containing cells through the methods of marker gene, by observing the marker gene properties, or by observing the enzymes, and by PCR. So marker gene technologies, that is coding for thymidine kinase. Marker gene is here thymidine kinase. So by observing whether that particular cell is having this particular thymidine kinase, we can have this selection. Then enzymes, by observing the activities of these different types of enzymes like neomycin, then DHFR or resistant MTX, then phosphotransferase enzyme, all these enzymes will be there. We have already introduced, or we have already having these particular genes for these enzymes. So by observing whether these genes are present or these enzymes are present or not, we can select the transformed or recombinant cells. Then by PCR we can select, and through these three different methods we can select the transformed cells, and the transformed cells are selected, and that will be transferred into the embryo or the blastocyst of, or it will be transferred back into the blastocyst of that particular developing embryo. Okay. Now we will move on to another technology called gene knockout. Gene knockout is nothing but it is the method of targeted gene disruption. So we have already transferred a gene, we have to find out that whether the gene is functioning or not, and also we can knock out that particular property by using another construct, another gene construct. That is what is called as gene knockout. The method of targeted gene disruption by the incorporation of a DNA sequence, that is with a selectable marker gene into the coding region. So we have already transferred a gene, we can knocking that particular property out by introducing a DNA sequence with a selectable marker gene into the coding region. Now that will lead to the loss of function in the transgenic animals. So we have already transferred a gene, that transferred gene's function can be controlled by this particular gene knockout mechanism. and we have produced gene knockout mice also by using this method. So why do we go for gene knocking out? That is to determine the developmental and physiological activities or consequences of the inactivating a particular gene. When you inactivate a particular gene, we can study what is happening in the developmental and physiological properties or physiological activities of the cell, physiological metabolisms of the cell, what is happening. We can study it easily by knocking out a particular gene, and also this knocking out method can be used to study the molecular pathology of human beings. Molecular pathology of human beings can be studied by knockout method. And we have some examples also. A most important example, a most common example for knockout technology is rhodopsin knockout mice. Rhodopsin knockout mice have been created by the inactivation of the mouse rhodopsin gene, which resembles retinitis. So pigmentosa was the result. Okay. So the mouse rhodopsin gene has been inactivated by this knockout technology, and almost we have created more than 250 types of knockout mice have been created. You can see here the fur on the mice, the difference in fur on the mice. Here it will be somewhat ash colored, here it is almost dark. That is the differences in knockout mice as well as the normal mice. Okay. Now after doing all these things, we have to clone by the nuclear transfer. Cloning by nuclear transfer. So the nucleus from a cultured cell can be transferred to an enucleated egg. So the nucleus from a cultured cell, we have already a cultured cell, the nucleus from that cultured cell has been taken out and it can be transferred to an enucleated egg and implanted into the uterus of a receptive female animal. That is what is happening in cloning by nuclear transfer. So a nucleus from the cultured cell has been taken, it is transferred to an enucleated egg. Enucleated egg means an egg in which a nucleus has been taken out, and this both the nucleus from one cell and the egg without a nucleus will be treated, and that nucleus is transferred to that enucleated egg, and that is implanted into the uterus of a receptive female. Here the nucleus from the cultured cell means that nucleus from the cultured cell will have that particular foreign gene inserted in the genome. That nucleus will be taken, that nucleus is transferred into the enucleated egg cell, and that egg cell is now in a fertilized form, it is implanted into the uterus of a receptive female animal. Now the egg which is transferred into the receptive uterus of the receptive female animal will develop into embryo and finally into offspring. Now that egg is developing into the embryo and finally into offspring, because it is already fertilized, and after fertilization only we have taken out that nucleus and transferred that nucleus into the enucleated egg cell. Now that egg is capable of development or capable of developing into an embryo. Now that egg will develop into embryo and finally that into offspring. If the nucleus is derived from the same animal, the progeny will be the replica of the mother. That is the thing. If the nucleus is taken from the same animal, the progeny will be the replica of the mother. Now this methodology was used for the much publicized production. You might have all known about this particular production of the Dolly the sheep. We will discuss it later in another slide. Okay. Now importance, what is the importance of having the mice become transgenic? Importance of having the mice become transgenic, and we can say that we can have the transgenic mice with the short oestrus cycle or estrus cycle. Their estrus cycle will be very short, transgenic mice, and also they will have short gestation period. Then they will have relatively short generation time. Production of several offspring per progeny can be done. Ease of in vitro fertilization and in vitro embryo culture, that also is easy in this transgenic mice, and availability of a large number of genetic varieties is possible in the transgenic mice. That is the importance of transgenic mice. Short estrus cycle, short gestation period, relatively short generation time, production of several offspring per progeny, ease of in vitro fertilization and in vitro embryo culture, and availability of a large number of genetic varieties is possible. Okay, that is about the transgenic mice. Now move on to the transgenic sheep and lamb. As you all know, that was a wonderful experiment by Ian Wilmut of Roslin Institute. In 1996, he has created a particular transgenic sheep which was called as Dolly, and that was cloned using cells from a 6-year-old sheep's udder cells by a technology called somatic cell nuclear transfer technology, and that was successful. That was the first successful product of a mammal cloned, and after that in 1997 world's first transgenic lamb which is called as Polly was also created using the same technology. The speciality of the Polly was it contained human gene for blood clotting factor 9. That was the speciality of Polly. That means we have created an organism which contains human gene for blood clotting factor 9. That is, that human gene, that blood clotting factor can be produced in the sheep. That was the final net result of that particular experiment. So this is an outline of the somatic cell nuclear transfer technology by which the Polly and Dolly have been produced, which involves two different cells. As you know, one is an ovum, egg or oocyte, another one was a somatic cell. That somatic cell was taken from skin fibroblast. In the case of the production of Dolly, that somatic cell was taken from skin fibroblast. And in this skin fibroblast, the nucleus was micro-injected with the transgenic DNA. It was a diploid cell, and into the diploid cell nucleus, the nucleus was micro-injected with the transgenic DNA. The transgenic DNA was taken from the human being, and it was transferred into this particular organism, the particular nucleus. Then in the case of ovum, that was haploid cell, in this the nucleus was discarded. The ovum nucleus was discarded, and it is now called as an enucleated egg. Both this enucleated egg and this somatic cells, somatic nucleus have been fused, and product was this particular thing. So this is an outline of the technology. Here you can see this is the somatic cell and this is the egg cell. Somatic cell is the nucleus of the somatic cell has been taken out, and that nucleus was fused with the enucleated egg cell. This is the enucleated egg cell. That means the nucleus has been taken out, and this is only the somatic, that is the cytoplasm only. The cell will have the cytoplasm only. That will be fused, and that this is the fusion product, and it is cloned. Okay, this is the particular type of the somatic cell nuclear transfer technology. And other uses of this particular technology was it can be used for stem cell research, reproductive and therapeutic cloning, and interspecies nuclear transfer. For all these purposes, this somatic cell nuclear transfer technology is used. Okay, that is about the transgenic sheep and lambs. Now moving on to the transgenic chickens, and this transgenic chicken also have been made by using this gene transfer technology, and the method is by infecting the embryos with a viral vector carrying the transgene. So here also a transgene has been made, and that transgene has been cloned into a viral vector, and that viral vector was used for infecting the embryos of that particular chick. Now transfer human gene into the rooster sperm was the experiment done. Rooster sperm has been selected, the sperm of that chicks have been selected, and that was transferred with the human gene, and this human gene containing cell has been transferred, or nucleus has been transferred into the embryos, and the result was it produced 0.1 gram of human protein in each egg. In each egg, it produced 0.1 gram of human protein, and advantages of this process was it is cost effective and it add correct sugars to glycosylated proteins, unlike E. coli. This experiment has been carried out in E. coli also, which was a prokaryote. Now it is done in eukaryotes, especially in chicken, and this was the advantage, added correct sugars to glycosylated proteins. Okay, that is about the transgenic chicken. Now moving on to the transgenic fish. Again almost the same methodology was used, but here instead of the somatic cell nuclear transfer, we have used the DNA micro injection method. So the preferred method for making the transgenic fish is DNA micro injection, and here mass gene transfer can be done. Mass gene transfer methods can be done, that is liquefaction, Other methods like liquefaction, particle bombardment and electroporation of embryos and sperm cells also can be used, but the most commonly and most preferred method is DNA micro injection. And we have developed a fish, a transgenic fish which is called as zebra fish, which is having a particular property of glowing, or it will be having the lines like that of a zebra, and it is having optically clear shell and steady and a cure of CDDs. That was the CVDs, that was the use of the zebra fish. Okay, we have made the zebra fish. Now other fishes are the transgenic fish to study the muscle development and source, it can be used as a source of protamine, that also we have created. Then transgenic grass carp, which can be used for the production of human lactoferrin, have been created. And we have the most important pet fishes, or the costliest pet fishes which is available in market is the glowfish, and that glowfish is also produced through this particular technology. The importance of glowfish is that it will glow when it is kept in the aquariums. So that is why it is considered as the most costliest pet in the world. Okay. Then transgenic angelfish, lionhead fish, etc. also have been made transgenic by different technologies. Now another organism, transgenic pig. Here the sperm mediated germ cell transfer technology was used for making the transgenic pigs. Fertilized normal eggs with sperm cells that have incorporated foreign DNA or transgene, and the low efficiency or poor uptake of transgene was the result. It was not that much successful. And example for that particular pig which is made like this is Enviro pig, a pig which is called as Enviro pig, which is created by introducing phytase gene from E. coli into the pig. From E. coli, the phytase gene has been taken and that is transferred into the pig, and that pig is called as Enviro pig. And these pigs can be made into the sources of organ for human beings, especially the mammals, especially the human beings, for the transplantation of humans in future. So that will be the source for the organ transplantation of humans in future, the pigs. Then transgenic rabbits. First transgenic rabbit was in 1985, and that method is pro-nuclear microinjection. Again, the same method which was in future it was called as the SCNT, that is somatic cell nuclear transfer. Previously it was called as pro-nuclear microinjection method, and these rabbits can be used as model for CVD, AIDS and cancer research. And the reproductive proteins produced, large scale proteins can be produced, and cost is lower. For example, human alpha glucosidase, human erythropoietin, human AAT, etc. have been produced in the rabbits. Transgenic rabbits have been created like that. Now transgenic cow, another organism in which the transgenesis experiments have been successfully carried out. That was in 1990, world's first transgenic cow, which is called as Herman the bull, that was made in Netherlands. It carried the human lactoferrin gene in the milk. And that was made through the pro-nuclear microinjection method, and cow's milk and artificial formula do not naturally contain lactoferrin. Cow's milk generally contain lactoferrin, but this cow has been made in such a way that its milk contain the lactoferrin, and this other transgenic cow's milk contains lysozyme, human lactalbumin, then factor 8 and 9, etc. So we have transgenic cow which will have the human lactoferrin, like that human lactalbumin, factors 8 and 9, etc. can be produced directly in the cow's milk. Okay. Now moving on to the next organism, transgenic monkey, which is commonly named as Andi, A-N-D-I, which is the first transgenic rhesus monkey, which was produced by Oregon in 2000. And this was used by the inserted DNA. This is Andi is named because of that particular term, inserted DNA, which can be spelled backward. Okay, IDNA, you can see that. Now extra glowing gene has been taken from jellyfish and it is transferred into this particular monkey, and it is used to find a cure for complicated human diseases like cancer, Alzheimer's, AIDS and this DM. So these are the different properties which has been introduced into the monkey, and for these all these purposes this monkey is useful. Now what are the applications in common? What are the applications of transgenic technology, especially the transgenic animals? They are divided into 5 classes based on their purposes. Disease models. These transgenic animals can be used as disease models. Transgenic animals can be used as transformers. So pharmaceutically important proteins can be produced by using this technology. And xenoplanters. These organisms are used as xenoplanters. That is, human organs can be produced, made available in the animals, transgenic animals. Then it can be used as food source. Then these animals can be used for biological models. These are some of the areas where we can apply the transgenic technology. Let us see one by one. This is something regarding the reports regarding this making of these transgenic animals. So disease models. Disease models means the animals that have been genetically altered. We are altering the animals to make it into the disease models, and they are altered to express some aspect of human diseases. So etiology of complex diseases and to develop potential therapies without use of human subjects. So here there is no role for human beings, because that human beings will be outside the scene, and the genes from the human beings has been transferred into the organisms, especially animals, and these animals can be used as a substitute for human beings. That was the role, disease models. Okay, now we have already developed AIDS mouse, Alzheimer's mouse, Ongo mouse, etc. by using this technology, and we can use these mouse instead of human beings for studying the effect of AIDS, Alzheimer's and cancers. Other models are HTN, DM and CARD, etc. Okay, let us have an idea about what is an AIDS mouse. Animals not normally susceptible to HIV infection. As we all know, it is human immunovirus. Animals are not at all susceptible to this the effect of this or infection of this human immunovirus. But there will be a similar virus in animals which is called as SIV, simian immunovirus, and that is infected. This virus will be infecting the monkeys. So instead of HIV, we can use this SIV equivalent to HIV. And first AIDS mouse, which is called as SCID, severe combined immunodeficiency mouse, which lacked the immune system, have been made by using a technology, and human lymph nodes implanted and infected with HIV. Now early transgenic AIDS mouse, Kaposi sarcoma, and which is common condition seen in people infected with AIDS, it showed like that. In this picture you can see a mice which has been infected with AIDS. So by using these mice without going for human trials, we can study the AIDS in detail. And other animals used for HIV research are rats, cats, rabbits, and finally the Drosophila. Okay. Now what is the advantage of making these mice models? It is very cheap, and it is much is already known about their genes. We have already know about almost all the things about these, the genome and other genes of these particular mice. Okay, now animal models provide important information about the life cycle of HIV and can be used to develop treatments and vaccines. So that is the importance of making the animal model which is susceptible to this type of diseases. It can provide important information about the life cycle of HIV and can be used to develop treatments and vaccines. Okay. Now another mice is Alzheimer's mouse, which is and Alzheimer's disease, as you all know, it is a neurodegenerative disease. It is a brain disorder, and it is produced by amyloid plaques, amyloid beta peptide, and it is a fragment of beta amyloid precursor protein APP. So because of that only that Alzheimer's disease is caused. So this particular gene from the human being has been taken and it is transferred to the mice, which make the mice as an Alzheimer's mouse. We can study all the details regarding the Alzheimer's disease in this mouse by using this particular technology. So we have used it to create an Alzheimer's disease vaccine. So this mice can be used for producing Alzheimer's disease vaccine or an antibody against this particular protein. Now effective in removing amyloid plaques in Alzheimer's disease, and it caused swelling of cerebroneurospinal fluids and skin lesions, etc. And the trials were halted because of all these problems. Alzheimer's mice research is now in a halted condition. Now another one is oncomouse. This is the first patented transgenic animal. Oncomouse is the first patented transgenic animal which was created by Philip Leader and Timothy Stewart of Harvard University in 1984. And this was used to study cancer formation and to screen anti-tumor drugs. So, cancer formation and screening the anti-tumor drugs. For that purpose, we have developed a mouse which is called as oncomouse, which was the first patented transgenic animal. So, 13 different strains were engineered to contain a human oncogene that causes tumor formation. That was the property of oncomouse. Now for diabetic purpose, the model for diabetic also we have developed transgenic models for studying the genes and their role in peripheral insulin action, models of insulin secretion like glucokinase, hepatic glucose production in T2 diabetes, transgenic mouse model IDDM. By retroviral vector mediated method we have made that particular transgenic mouse model. Then for beta receptor knockout mouse, uncoupling protein knockout mouse, acute chronic model for anti-diabetic agents, etc. are some of the organisms which has been produced for studying the diabetics. Then transformers, pharmaceutical products are produced by this particular technology, recombinant DNA technology. These transgenic animals which are genetically engineered to produce a human pharmaceutical recombinant protein in their saliva, milk, urine or blood. That is what is called as the farming. The human pharmaceutically important recombinant protein is allowed to produce in this type of organisms, and that was produced successfully in saliva, in their saliva and in their milk, urine or blood, and the entire process is called as transforming or gene farming. Okay. Now in 1920s the insulin extracted from pig pancreas was developed, and insulin extracted from pig pancreas in 1920s. Early in 1980s this human insulin was prepared by using recombinant bacteria, especially E. coli. Then synthesis of complex protein required post-translational modification. That was the problem with eukaryote and prokaryote. We have to go for post-translational modifications if we produce the human proteins or eukaryotic proteins in prokaryotes. That was the problem. So, mammalian cells have been used for this particular purpose. Now, transgenic animals which are producing human proteins or recombinant proteins in milk. For example, human antithrombin 3 was produced in milk. That was experiment carried out in 2006. Then chicken egg white, example MMBs, human monoclonal antibodies have been produced in chicken egg white. So, again the same method, microinjection and nuclear transfer methods have been used for production of these type of organisms. Okay. Now, xenotransplanters, that was an important application of this recombinant DNA technology in animals. Transgenic animals that are genetically modified to have organs that can be transplanted into humans. So, that was the purpose. Organs will be produced in animals and that organs can be taken out and can be transplanted into human beings. And these do not express the key foreign antigens, and because of this particular property, this particular donor rejection will not be there in these type of organs, promising alternative to human donors. And pig is the only animal used. Nowadays, pig is the only animal used for this purpose, and its physiology is closely matches with the human beings and much less expensive than monkeys and other primates. That is why we are using these pigs for making the human organs in animals. And pigs have been used for this purpose. For example, pigs have alpha-1,3 galactosidase on the surface of their cells, which is produced by the enzyme alpha-1,2 galactosyl transferase. GGAT1 gene is responsible for the formation of this particular product. And we came to know that this particular protein is absent in human beings, and because of the absence of this protein in human beings, the first experiment was a failure because it rejected that particular recombinant pig rejected this particular gene because of the lack of this particular gene. And we have created another type of pig which is called as GG81 knockout pigs. The same method was used, GG81 knockout pigs, which was much lower incidence of rejection because this particular property of this GG81 gene has been knocked out and that particular enzyme was not produced. So, there were no rejection or rejection was less compared to the previous one. Now, porcine heart valves was successfully transplanted into human hearts. That the valves which were produced in the transgenic pigs have been taken and it was successfully transplanted into human hearts. Like that, liver, lungs, kidneys, etc. are being tested in human beings also. The risk of transmission of porcine virus 1 was experimentally done by pre-screening method and it was transferred to human beings. So, this is an outline of what are the different organs which can be transplanted, which can be produced in pigs and can be transplanted into human beings. And another important application of this is transgenic animals can be used as food sources by creating the animals that grow larger or faster without much food. So, without providing much food, this can be grown. The animals can be made into grow larger and faster, and it will be more efficient, cost effective food source, and some ethical and safety concerns are there concerned with these animals which can be used as food source, that is they are not yet produced commercially. Because of these ethical issues, they are not yet produced commercially as food sources, but only for research purposes we have made these animals into the food sources. And like that, a super food source is a super pig which is fast growing and it is a lean animal. A fast growing lean animal which is used as a food source is the super pig, which consumes less food than normal pigs, and this has been made by micro injecting a gene that expressed bovine growth hormone. Okay, that is about super pig. Then super fish, which does not have the same ethical concern, because pig is somewhat having ethical concern, but as far as the fish is concerned, there is no ethical concern. So, we have produced a super fish which does not have the ethical concern as super pig or other mammalian models. The pig super fish is aqua advantage salmon. The super fish is known as aqua advantage salmon, which is genetically modified Atlantic salmon, and by injecting GH regulating gene from Pacific Chinook salmon, this organism, the superfish have been produced. This can be used as a substitute for food. Then these biological models created to increase our knowledge about the functions of a particular protein by overexpressing the gene encoding that protein or knocking it out. Either by overexpressing or knocking out the gene, we have studied the function of a protein. So, these transgenic organisms can be used as a biological model also, and it can be used in biology as well as in genetic studies. For example, we have developed already the the primate or monkey, and the smart mouse and youth mouse. All these are used as transgenic biological models. And smart mouse is nothing but a superior learning and memory, a mouse with superior learning capacity, and memory is also more than a normal mouse in smart mouse. This is named as Doogie mouse, which is modified to overexpress NR2B gene in the cortex and hippocampus, thalamus, brainstem and cerebellum. So, because of these functions of this particular gene, this mouse has become a smart mouse. Now, youth mouse is another mouse which is produced and it is named as alpha mupa mouse, MUPA mice, which will eat approximately 20% less than a normal mice and live approximately 20% longer than a wild type mouse, which exhibit a young look even at old ages. Okay, and this is useful as biological model for study of developmental processes and aging. So, this youth mouse can be used for that. Now, something we have to complete this by saying some ethics regarding the transgenic mechanism. Usually, transgenic mechanism is depending on three principles or three R's, principles of three R's, that is reduction of animal numbers, refinement of practices and husbandry to minimize pain and distress, replacement of animals with non-animal alternatives wherever possible. These are the three R's: reduction, refinement and replacement. Reduction of animal numbers, refinement of practices and husbandry to minimize pain and distress, replacement of animals with non-animal alternatives wherever possible. And ethical issues like invasiveness of procedures, large number of animals required, then unanticipated welfare concerns, confidentiality culture, etc. also have been noted. And beyond the animal welfare, what we have to do before these transgencies have been in place, we were using the term what is possible to do. Instead of that, nowadays we are using what is acceptable to do. That is the difference. And to go beyond the three R's, the animal health and welfare, to go beyond that three R's, animal health and welfare, and to disregard and violate species integrity. Okay, now this slide shows some reports in different papers and some journals regarding the using of animals for the purpose of transgenesis. That was a concern, the concern shown by different papers and the media. Now, the last but not the least, regarding the spider silk from goat milk. That was an important concept. Spider silk. Spider silk is one of the substance which is having the most elasticity. So, elasticity is shown by this spider silk. And spider silk, suppose you have the ability to isolate the spider silk from goat milk. What we have to do is we have to take out the genes which causes that silk formation from the spider, and from spider that is transferred into the goat through genetic engineering mechanism, and from goat we can simply extract the spider silks in large quantities. What is the purpose of making, what is the purpose of getting these spider silks in more quantities? This spider silk, since it is having high elasticity, this can be used as the silk which is used for making military uniforms and the helmets which is used by military soldiers. And the importance or the speciality of this type of uniforms is that because it is made up of the elastic material, the uniforms as well as the helmets are made up of elastic materials, it will not, the bullets which is fired by the persons will not affect these particular soldiers because of these particular uniforms, and elasticity of the uniforms as well as the elasticity of these helmets. So, that is the importance of spider silk in milk, in produced from goat milk. Okay. Hope you understood the process of transgenesis, and now let me take a leave and hope you all enjoyed the class very well. Thank you one and all.